So welcome everybody, and yeah, great to see some faces that are here in the morning. So well done for you guys to not party too much or sleep too, yeah, sleep too less. Anyway, let's get it started. So like as she mentioned a little bit, we will start speaking a little bit about snaps, what are snaps, why we are actually like create this kind of permissionless innovation environment, and also like then I will drive a little bit into some like DevRel frameworks. How many of you guys are developers? So okay, how many of you guys are DevRel? Maybe? Okay. Okay. Oh, yeah. So probably like this framework at the end will be quite useful for you guys. Okay, so my name is, yeah, as she mentioned, Francesco. I'm part of the DevRel team at Consensus, mostly like concentrating around like snaps lately. I started as a protocol DevRel, and I'm just helping out developers building cool stuff with our products. So Consensus is the big company, right? And then you have like stuff like that you guys used, like Infura. You can deploy stuff on like our ZK EVM called Linea, and obviously then all the MetaMask developer tooling, right? And right now the main verticals are the DApp API, MetaMask SDK for native integration, and Snaps. That's something that we will speak a little bit later. Yeah, I'm learning a little bit chess, and I'm kite surfing. So for you guys that want to play and win chess, play with me. Awesome, cool. So I don't want to bore you guys with. There were a bunch of like different like slides before, but I just cut a little bit through the chase. You know why? You know Web 2. We're becoming all the product. We are just signing specific transaction and data to like a big corporate. We are kind of like becoming. Kind of like our own product without even getting monetized. So like I push here like 5 principles for trying to understand, you know, how we want to build the Web3 products in the future that has much more like a consensual web from users to developers to company. So first big part is the user owned account, right? You want to give people like fully control of their identity, and in terms of like identity, it's not just about user exchange, but also like anything like the request related. I don't know how many of you guys are using like extension on like different browsers, but a lot of time you have even no idea what you're actually like if the extension is manipulating specific data, if they're accessing specific like web apps, and you have no idea how to revoke also those accesses. Second big principle is that we need to obviously like build for an accessible interface for users out there, for developers to onboard more and easier like tooling, and also like every of those requests need to be fully transparent. So we kind of like call like consensus. The consent is king, meaning like you really want to understand and give users a possibility to drive their decision based on like data and based of like kind of like very instructional decision. Third part is like you want to have also like transparent request setups, and this is probably the most priority part whenever you're building like Web3 products. So anything need to be kind of like transparent, right? And one part that I really like for like this kind of like fourth principle is every request need to be kind of like very transparent. Like users can be also entitled to revoke those access anytime, whenever they are, right? Cool, and then the last part is all about kind of like this permissionless innovation concept that you want to share progressively, meaning like you want to basically add modularity to every product that you're building. And meaning like could be from starting from a specific like product setup, and then you know the users can gradually like and progressively use the product, but it's also like a trust mechanism, right? Cool. So just a little bit to resume, we want to also like thrive and build for activating much more like the developer community and having different ecosystem fully kind of like interoperable, build for utility, and I really like the last point on accessibility, as I mentioned before, and also something that we're working on trust and attestation. Obviously, like we are in a path to decentralize our product. You saw that, right? You saw with Infura, the DIN, decentralized node infrastructure. You saw with even like, you know, customer support with Village DAO. You saw on different like products like, you know, with Linea ZKVM. Obviously, like we are on the path to sequencer decentralization. If you guys follow the last 2-3 days, it's quite interesting concept. And obviously, like with MetaMask and the wallet and the mobile, the idea is also like share progressively the innovation with the community, and you will see a little bit how. So what is the future wallet looks like? So I have no idea how the future wallet will look like. I will tell you how does I think that it doesn't look like, right? So obviously, like player versus player, I don't think we will have like this kind of like setup anymore. I don't think we will have customized journey. Every single user has different needs. You will always see people that are more, I don't know, DeFi heavy. You will see more people that are more around, I don't know, NFT specific use case, and there is no kind of extension that fits everybody. So I think like in the future we will get much more customized journey, right? And also like I'm quite excited, you know, to see much more customized wallets in the future, or like pre-set up wallets for a specific use case. One entity knows best. I don't know. So I started maybe 4 years ago, and I remember like back in the days, the repo, the MetaMask repo had something like 7,000 open issues of people that want to integrate, people that want to like, you know, get feature feedbacks, and most important, like people that want to extend the functionality of what the extension was doing at the time. And basically that's kind of like how things started, right? And I repeat a little bit like those 5 principles, repeating like if we want to kind of like move to a much more like consensual web, we will need to also like push the users to be kind of like a very user-centric narrative, so that everything that we're building is very transparent for like users to adapt and give permissions. Trusting is the other big part, so it's a consequence like trust that you want to have people to kind of like trusting the mechanism, but not trusting the people behind, but actually like thanks to all these transparencies is part of the game. And obviously like decentralization, why we're also doing this is also to empower the communities. So you want to give communities instrument to push your product further, but in a way that is fully owned by the community, right? There is this concept like power back to the community, right? And I think it's very strong, because right now, especially like in Web 2, right, we are getting like feedbacks from community, just, you know, on roadmap feedback, on like opening some issues, but you never find like really like active community instrument for furthering develop your product further, right? Extensibility, modularity, all these concepts are quite big, right? And this is why we're super bullish on this like permissionless innovation concept. So we want to try to give instrument and build like a framework and kind of like a language that you can start modularizing like specific like features and products. And now we're coming to Snaps. So get some air now. But how many of you guys use Snaps as a users until now? Okay. How many of you guys, before Snaps will launch on prod, you build a Snap on Flask? Okay, cool. A couple of people. Maybe you want some hackathons. That's very cool. But yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, snaps, they are nothing else. We kind of like defining as add-ons. So they're basically like a functionality extension on top of what the wallet does today, right? So there are different like use case, right? From extending and leveraging your own API stack, and I will tell you like why also like snaps are kind of like siloed and why they are so kind of powerful to interact also with like external API, but most important like on different like use case basis, right? And I mentioned a little bit like if we met a little bit in the hackathon or during the conference, I'm excited about different verticals. Right now there are 50 plus Snap in our list. But super interesting, like I don't know if you ever use like the BTC Snap, the Solana Snap, all these kind of non-EVM compatible Snap are quite used today in the ecosystem. And basically they're furthering extending the functionality of the wallet. The cool thing is that, you know, like both the community, the organization, the individual contributors are building those Snap, right? So they're fully owned by the community. Interoperability snaps, those are the non-EVM compatible snap. Then you have different things in the security section. You have transaction inside snap. I really like a snap called from the guys from Blockfence, for example. They are actively like tracking a specific like a malicious account, and basically every time they are signing transaction, they're giving you hints saying, okay, this address interacting previously with a malicious account. So a lot of like kind of like red flags alerting. That is quite interesting. On the AA side, you will see much more like MPC and 2FA snap, social recovery snap. It's quite interesting. I also like interesting to see much more like notification snap. So everything that is happening with like, you know, game dApps developer or game users that are getting notified on prod. That's also like quite interesting. So just to further a little bit like the discussion. So the most question that I get is around security and around, you know, how snaps can interact with not just extension but also like external API suites, right? And around security, so we just need to understand something. Snaps are nothing else than like an NPM package hosted, right? And they're fully isolated. What does it mean? This every time that the snap is speaking or interacting with the extension, they will always like notify and get the users to approve everything, right? It's a fully siloed environment. So basically, they don't have access to any private key until you're giving actually like permission to do so. So there is a fully transparency on what the snap is asking to the extension and what kind of accesses are being approved or not, right? So, and this is why it's super important to understand this part, because you get a lot of questions like, oh, like what will happen, you know, when people are hacking the snap, what, you know, there are different like kind of like interesting like scenarios. But long story short, not only you will see both the source codes in NPM, the author, the permissions being requested, but also like you will see like also the DD side. And we're also working on a fully open source attestation service with Karma 3 Labs. I don't know if you heard about these guys, but basically like also like due diligencing snaps from the community will be much easier in the future, because also like community members that have a strong, you know, snap, let's say snaps development skills can start due diligence in a first or a second like level, the snap going to the allow list. This is just an example how you will see like the transparency process when you're installing a snap, even when the snap is accessing like the internet, or even like when there is some dialog windows being showed. You always like need to approve it, right? And that's kind of like it's really cool, because you know, I wish to have this, for example, when I'm dealing with extensions in my, I don't know, Chrome or Brave browsers, right? And you know, on the other hand, also like you can revoke accesses anytime, right? You will have your snap in your setting on your extension, MetaMask extension, and you can actually revoke, put in standby, and do different things with the snap if you don't use it anymore. Like an example, a lot of people are just using the Solana snap to get airdrop from the Solana ecosystem, because obviously, like you have different non-EVM, let's say, ecosystem like play that you can do that. And on the non-EVM, I forgot to say also like the Starknet snap, for example. So layer 2 non-EVM compatible also is quite an interesting use case. And yeah, so just to resume, snap access custodials, they're leaving your wallet, and basically like whatever you install, you will see in your setting, and you can revoke accesses and permission anytime that you want, right? So you have this kind of like fully transparent as a users. So this is a quick QR code for the snaps allow list. And that's for kind of like the users here that want to test it out. I would say like, you know, start with like whatever interests you the most. Maybe they'll just do some kind of like non-EVM transaction directly on your extension, or maybe like, you know, if you're a gamer, try the notification snap. There is also a chat-to-chat snap, super interesting from the guys. Like it's super interesting. Then you have you can also like move to a little bit more on the security snaps that is giving you like giving you more data points to sign a specific transaction and understanding, you know, who are you really interacting with. So different like categories, right? Right now you will see like there is a full interoperability, security, comms, and account management category, and you can basically like filter and test it out. For anybody that, you know, want to build a snap, there are a bunch of like, you know, monorepo and example snaps that you can take, fork, and build on top of it. And also like in this snaps builder program, basically it's nothing else as a support basically system for like snaps developer or people that just want to start building some snaps. And you also see a list in the GitHub discussion, like of wish list snaps. So if you guys, you know, have, I don't know, I would say no time to hack or something, but in the future, that we will have also like some bounties at hackathon. That's also like a good inspiration of snaps that are kind of like missing. Although like right now people are getting like crazy and building some specific use case. So I think like my theory is that we will see a lot of snaps kind of like competing with each other and seeing a very similar use case in the same time. Cool. So and this is kind of like the last part when I was asking like you guys like who is really doing developer relations and how you guys are onboarding developers, because Snaps is most important like a big use case. And I just want to say that because I went through like all the kind of like the Snaps development phase from scratch, being only like on Flask to kind of like production, and even now that we are adding new and new categories and new type of snaps. So I just want to mention that, you know, like building a cool technology is not enough. What we want is also like building cool specific like building frameworks so that, you know, between not just DevRel but activation, any product out there that is building products need to activate their developer community. And a lot of time, like you want to have kind of, you want to speak the same language, right? Because a lot of time when we're giving like to talks or even like conference, we're speaking about different metrics, and it's always like tricky to compare different activation because you are in different time of the developer, in different time of the developer funnel, in kind of like on different levels and different target persona developers. And yeah, and a lot of time, like a lot of company don't know where you stand in this kind of like builder hierarchy of needs, right? And I want to show you a little bit these two frameworks that I've been working for the past like year and a half to just standardize a little bit the industry around developer activation and why, for example, we are adopting this within the Snap framework, right? So I don't know if you remember these guys here. Like I studied that 10 years ago. It was called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Basically, like specific like needs for specific like type of like level in the pyramid. And basically, I transformed this to be a kind of like a hierarchy of builder needs. And I was calling it like Francesco hierarchy of builder needs. But basically, this is nothing else as kind of like the builder's hierarchy of needs levels, right? A lot of time we're speaking about different activation. A lot of time we're saying, hey, let's go to virtual hackathon, and then you're checking out the docs of this product. They're not really like on top notch, right? So basically I ask myself, what are the main things that you want to have before even going on top, right? And I will just show you the first two, right? So flagship event, access to resources, and basic education. For example, this is like the most basic things that you want to push when adopting like those developer engagement strategy. You want to have your docs that are really not on top of things, but also like having specific tutorials, even running like stuff like Consensus Academy, so you can actually like have this top of the funnel like fully embraced. For Snap specifically, right, we did maybe 6 hackathon. Every hackathon with a 2 months lag, we came back home and we revamp all the docs. And every time that we're going to an hackathon with a different bounties, we were testing out some specific feature that we were launching, right? And it was a very interesting like process. But the most important part is that until those last part is satisfied, you cannot move to a kind of the next one. And the second part that we'll talk a little bit about in the funnel later is this kind of like safety level, and this kind of like what I'm calling like building the safe space around developers. People are not interested to get shield on their face face how to build your first snap now, right? They're interesting on use case and verticals, right? When you start to speak about, okay, notification snaps or like notification vertical extension for wallets are very useful for, I don't know, like gamers, then people are getting interested and they want to understand, okay, how I'm doing that, right? So building this safe space that is actually product agnostic is, oh, nice. I can use the red one. It's very powerful, right? And those are not product specific. So you will basically have expectation of like running like ecosystem community calls, like developer meetups on specific vertical. And we started maybe like almost 2 years ago doing these builder nights. Builder nights are non-chill like meetups that are focused on specific topics. We started doing on 437. We started doing on kind of like layer 2 and you know, design narratives. We're doing also like a builder nights. This will be on 7702 for the people a little bit in account construction. Here they will be in the Tenderly office in tomorrow night, I think. And that's basically it, right? So going back second, and that's it, right? So with this kind of framework, basically you can understand and compare activations. You can also like give kind of instruments to whoever is approving your budget or whoever like is driving those activation more data points. So I wrote this paper that I presented in Denver. There is a bunch of like other stuff here, and can share also like the slides about it. So we now went through like, okay, this is the hierarchy. We are standardizing the framework, and I also showed you like, you know, how kind of snaps came together and all this like principle around like consensual Web3 that we want to drive for building really like Web3 products. One things that we are missing right now is there are different type of builder needs, and also like there are different type of levels in the funnel, right? And that's basically coming in my last framework that is basically like trying to understand what Snaps can do for which developer type, because Snaps is also like, it's not super easy to pick it up, right? It's not something like, oh, let's go in Crypto Zombies and do some like Solidity tutorials. You need to somehow also like have some kind of like level, and also like that's why it's super important to understand where in the funnel you are kind of like playing, right? And that's why like I want to show you these second things, and I can stay hours to speak about this. But basically, like speaking about, I don't know, maybe 95% of company today in Web3, the majority of activations is done on this part, like the product-specific conversion, right? So you will basically like direct developers to build on top of their technology directly without actually giving like a why, without actually giving, okay, why is that important and why you should build the vertical first before actually engaging in very product-specific activation, right? And just to give an example, for example, like, you know, this could run like a Snaps community call. This could be run like you know, like a Snaps workshop, right? And basically the cool thing is that like all this kind of like highest part is missing, and this highest part is nothing else kind of like this value driven onboarding, and has nothing to do with direct product topics. And I think this is like why it's extremely powerful, and I was showing you like kind of a lesson learned that you should get today is that whenever like you're building your dApp, whenever you wanna like shield, like, you know, in the industry, like important part is like trying to build this kind of like first funnel part and excite developers, because you're an authentic kind of like, you know, an authentic like not person, but driving the product adoption through vertical and examples, right? Like people, as I mentioned before, people are not interested about, you know, like build a wallet-to-wallet chat snap, right? People are interested to understand, okay, how we can make communication much more efficient between two wallets, right? And not kind of going through like a centralized provider. And I think if you're tackling the conversation much more on verticalized and topic focused narrative, you're always winning this kind of like safe space part. And then you can still run everything. Whenever you have your kind of like trusted like developer ecosystem, then you can go further and saying, okay, now let's learn really about Snap. Let's build our first Snap together in a workshop, right? But people understand also like why they are here and why they are kind of embarking this like development journey. So that's that's a little bit it, right? So just to recap, because I think we're almost on time. So we spoke about permissionless innovation, why we want to build with those 5 principles. We spoke about, why building a solid product is not enough if you want to have a thriving community that actually extend the functionality of what the wallet is today. Creating engagement and continue to improve is also like part of the game. Why also we're doing this is nothing else because active feedbacks from the community are good, but they're not enough. People want to engage with your product roadmap. People want to build actively new features on top of the product. That's why like all this extensibility and modularity is key in order like to get a better, like let's say Web3, but more englobed Web3 with everybody in the community. And then we spoke about those kind of 2 frameworks, like this kind of like builder hierarchy of needs, meaning what builder really wants and what you need to satisfy in order to really engage with the community. And then remember always like why we are all here. We wanna also like extend and modularize like much more like those developer tooling, but also we are here to engage much more with users in Web3 on a more transparent way, and really like giving at the end of the day like more data points to make really like solid decisions, right? So yeah, that's a little bit it. So thanks everybody, and thanks to the guys. Awesome. If you guys have a question, let me know.
Does anyone have any questions?
I can throw the mic.
No, we have to. Anyone? Well, I guess everything was very clear. Thank you once again.